Hey, good morning, Bella Vista. It's time to talk about it again. And today I am so excited to introduce to you our Mayor-elect, John Flynn. John, welcome.
Well, thank you. It's great to be here.
I tell you, that was a long, hard path, and now it's time for you to take the reins and move forward, correct?
Yeah, that's right. I would like to give kudos to the people of Bella Vista. You know, we had about 15,000 people show up in the first election, and then in the runoff we had over 5,000, which is incredibly high. Now, we all worked hard to get the vote out, and of course, besides the mayoral runoff, there was 3 council runoffs. But Bella Vista really does a great job of showing up for elections, much better than most cities.
Yes, they do.
Yeah.
We are really good about that, and I'm glad. So, John, I don't know that many people know who you are and what you're all about. Could you give us a little history about you?
Sure.
It's the John Flynn Show.
Yeah. Okay. I would like to tell you a little bit about my background. I was born in Lorain, Ohio, which is a steel town on Lake Erie. It's 30 miles west of Cleveland. And I grew up there, was an altar boy, went to Catholic grade school, was on the football team and basketball team, was a Boy Scout, that sort of the usual upbringing. And from Lorain, I went to John Carroll University, which is a Jesuit school outside of Cleveland, Ohio, majored in economics. And after that, I went straight to law school, Case Western Reserve University, which is in Cleveland. And then when I started working as a corporate attorney right out of law school. And I went back while I was working and got an MBA in finance. And
Overachiever.
yeah, and that turned out to be a good move for a number of reasons. But I always worked in corporate law. I was a corporate attorney for more than 30 years. And in my whole career, I was with I was general counsel of 3 different corporations. And I was on the legal staff at 2 Fortune 500 corporations. And people might be able to relate to the Arkansas part of that. In 1996, I moved down to Rogers to be general counsel of Daisy, the BB Gun Company. And my wife and I moved up here to Bella Vista in 2005. I was still working full-time, just commuting from a different direction. So after I retired in 2011, I went into what I call semi-retirement, and I've been teaching part-time at University of Arkansas, teaching law and teaching finance at University of Arkansas. And of course, I ran for city council, was on city council 8 years, and I was on the board of Equalization for Benton County.
What is that?
They hear, a lot of people don't know what that is. They hear tax appeals of your real estate taxes, and it's a 9-member commission, and I actually was chairman of it the last 3 years. So I've really enjoyed being on that, and got to know some of the county people more that way. One of the things I found was interesting working down at the county is how many key county employees live in Bella Vista.
Oh, really?
Yeah, it's much more than you would think.
Yeah.
And that was interesting to me. The one man who handles it, they have different people handle the residential appeals versus the commercial appeals, and the one man who handles the commercial appeals is a pretty important job as a Bella Vista resident. So it was interesting to see how many people from Bella Vista are involved with the county. So that was fun.
What was your motivation to run for city council all those years ago?
Well, I was on city council 8 years, and it's been really interesting and fun. But what I did after I retired is I wanted to do things that were different from what I'd been doing, but would utilize my skills in law and finance. So I tried to always look for things that could use those kind of backgrounds. And so really, a lot of people would ask me why I ran for mayor. And when I was on city council, you get more and more interested in the city and how it runs and whatnot. And I thought I had a good background for it. So that's why I decided to go forward and run for mayor.
Yeah.
So.
But I know that that's not all you've done. You have done many volunteer and sat on many boards and other things here in Bella Vista. Tell us about that.
Yeah, I really tried to get involved in Bella Vista, and I was on the board of the History Museum, technically the Bella Vista Historical Society, and also I was a docent there. That's been since 2014. In the last 3-4 years, I was on the board of the Bella Vista Foundation. And what the foundation has done is they try to promote Bella Vista, and because they're a 501c3, they can act as a conduit for different activities. And the biggest activity they've probably had is the Pro-Am golf tournament that they had every year in June. And it has, the amount of money it's given the local charities, I think this year we passed $200,000 to 5 or 6 local, one of which is the
TV
the
station.
television station,
Yes,
right?
and we're so grateful.
Yeah, and it really felt good. And the other thing they do is they work with the Walton Foundation, having to do with trees. The Walton Foundation contributes trees for the trails to help with the canopy. And also they have a tree giveaway a couple times a year where they give trees to citizens who want to plant them in their yard. So you might say, hey, there's plenty of trees in Bella Vista. Yeah, Mayor Christie used to joke, it's like bringing coal to Newcastle. But, you can't have too many trees. And of course, as people are aware, sometimes we have trees that we have to be cut down for various reasons. The power company sometimes cuts some trees down. So I think it's great to add to the tree population, and it's been fun to help in that way also.
You know, I understand you are a great proponent of the arts here in Bella Vista.
Yeah, I've always been a real supporter of the arts. I go to a lot of the concerts of the the different choirs and whatnot, and of course the orchestra, the community band, and real artists, that Artist of the Month, I like to go to that. And some of the things, I've gotten to know the people on the Arts Council, one of whom now you are on. And it's been a great thing meeting the local artists. And it's amazing. Different people have different talents. And I always say I'm one of those people that you need somebody to appreciate the arts.
Yes.
I'm not one of the doers of the arts, but we have some very talented folks in Bella Vista, and it's amazing to see what top-notch artists we have living in this area. I do think there's a couple reasons for that. One is proximity to Crystal Bridges has been very helpful, and the other is artists just naturally like nature. They like places that are pretty, and of course Bella Vista really has that. It's one of its great strengths, I think. And so I think that's one of the reasons we've become a little bit of a nesting ground for artists, and that's exciting to see.
Absolutely. You know, Bella Vista is such a unique place. I really enjoy working and interviewing a lot of people. You just never know when you go in somewhere and sit down next to somebody where they came from, what they do. I mean, we have musicians here, we have composers, we have artists, we have authors. Man, we have everything.
Yeah, it's really surprising sometimes when you talk to people in Bella Vista what dynamic things they've done in their life and places they've been, things they've done, and it's very impressive, really.
Absolutely.
Yeah.
So I know that you've just gone through a very quick transition, I understand, with the mayor, because you kind of already know what to expect. But tell us about what you see on the horizon, the immediate horizon. What are you going to do first, John, other than get sworn in?
Yeah, technically I start on January 1. And of course, I've been going in to the office already and meeting with people and getting the lay of the land, so to speak. But before I go into what I'm going to do first, I really have to give kudos to Mayor Christie on a couple of grounds. One thing is that we're in such good shape financially, and he's been very conscious of doing that, worried about possibly an upcoming recession, wanting to make sure we're in good shape. But the other thing that's very noticeable is the quality of the top line supervisors in the various departments, you know, the police chief, the fire chief, the head of streets, head of human resources, finance, just right on down the line, community development. We really have an experienced, talented group, and that really is helpful when you're coming in new, you know, whether you've been on city council or not. I mean, it's nice to financially be in a good place and to have people who are talented and anxious to pitch in and do a good job.
You bet.
So it's a great feeling from that point of view.
So what do you see? Do you have any words, you know, maybe the hot topic of the day is short-term rentals and all of that. Can you talk about that a little bit? Because there's some rumors out there that are not necessarily the way it truly is. Can you give us your thoughts on short-term rental ordinances that we just passed?
Yeah, well, you know, I approach that problem like I try to do everything. I try to be reasonable and look for a middle ground, try to do what's in the best interest of the residents, but not be too radical one way or the other. And, you know, it was a struggle for us. We got a lot of input from short-term rental owners, and we got a lot of input from citizens. And I talked to a lot of different people, which is helpful. You know, some people live right next to a short-term rental and say, hey, they have no problem, and others live next to one and say it's a huge problem. And I think part of it is the owners. Some of them are very thoughtful about the neighbors, concerned about them not being upset, communicate with them a lot. And, you know, some of them are from far away and just let the chips fall where they may and don't really pay much attention to anything other than making money. So it's like a lot of things. You know, it's a mixed bag. And that's made it a little more challenging to try to come out with a good solution. So I hope we got a good start in that direction, but I do think it's something you can keep your eye on and you can tweak it this way or that. You know, one of the things I tried to do, particularly the last few months, you know, there's all kinds of different amendments coming up and whatnot. I tried to focus on the residents who are short-term owners as opposed to out-of-town. I'm not against out-of-town short-term rental owners, but the residents, making sure that they get a fair shot. I didn't want them to be beat out by some corporation from out of state and not be able to have one. And also we had a situation with my recent amendment that people were concerned, you know, if there's a cap on the number.
What is the cap? Did you decide on one?
The cap that came out in the legislation was 600.
Okay,
and
go
we
ahead.
think there's 480, 490 right now. But say if you live here and you decide, hey, I'd like to build something and make it a short-term rental. Well, you're afraid to get a mortgage and start building because, oh, what if by the time I'm done there aren't any left? Then I'd really be in trouble. So that was the thrust of the amendment, that if you're getting a building permit, you're going to go ahead and build, you can get a permit.
Right then
You can
and there.
get one, yeah, rather than waiting. Before it was, you had to wait till it was done. Well, that, particularly if you get closer to the cap, that puts you in an impossible situation. You just couldn't do it. And I didn't want to discourage people, you know, particularly people that live here.
Exactly.
So,
Exactly.
because oftentimes people live here are more responsible owner. I mean, they're part of the community and they're close by, so it's easier for them to get on top of any problems, that type of thing. So.
And a lot of people are using that to supplement their retirement income or to build toward, locals, I mean, are actually doing that to help. Well, and that just puts money back into Bella Vista, correct?
Yeah, that's correct. Well, and the other thing is some people have are live-in owners. Maybe they just have short-term rentals in a room or a couple of rooms. And we wanted to make sure those people were protected to the extent possible, because sometimes, you know, it's helping them pay the mortgage or something like that.
Exactly.
So
are there little different scenarios for, like, let's just say the lady that has the bedroom she rents out to help supplement the mortgage, is that a little bit different permit-wise and all of that? Is that all been settled?
Yeah, that was in the final legislation, that there were some differences in that situation. So
Okay,
trying to protect those people also.
gotcha.
So anyway, that's an ongoing thing we'll have to keep our eye on, but we wanted to try to be fair to everybody. Really, that's what we were attempting to do.
Gotcha.
So
Other than short-term rentals, what's coming up that you are immediately going to give your attention to?
well, that's a good question. As you know, the next couple months, the police are going to be moving into their new public safety building, and we believe that that transition will be completed, but fully completed by March. But it's going to be a little bit gradual. It's a little tricky with some departments, like making sure that you're able to do the job and still make the move. And so the police chief, I think, is on top of that and has a good plan. So it'll be gradual over the next couple of months or so. Mm-hmm. But what happens then is they vacated that building, and our plan is to rehab that building, in particular for the firemen there. That their living situation, fire station number 1 is called, is not really the best. And so we're going to rehab where the police used to be, mm-hmm. and make that better living quarters for the fire. And then we have some plans down the line to make some adjustments to the bays there. That's a pretty old building. Some of the bays are too small, and we're hoping to reconfigure them so you can drive in. If you notice, all the new fire stations, you can drive around the back and drive straight in.
Yeah.
And the older ones, you can't do that. So we think we can make an adjustment to accomplish that. So those are some things coming up in the very short term on the fire department side. And of course, there's really 3 parts to the bond. Mm-hmm. There was the fire station number 3 on Glasgow, which is up and running. And then it's public safety building, which is almost up and running. And then, of course, the fire training tower is underway. So it'll probably be completed sometime this summer. So we will have completed everything in the bond. And the good news is when they set up these bonds, they're pretty conservative in their, because they want to make sure they have the coverage and the bond will get paid back. So it appears the bond's going to be paid off. It's a 20-year bond. Mm-hmm. It appears it'll be paid off around 2026, 2027.
Wow.
So it's way faster. Yeah, it was supposed to go till 2040 or something like that. So that's good news for the city. Our sales tax, it's a 1% sales tax, and our revenue from that has been very good. So, we have different financial projections how fast that'll be, but it looks like it's going to definitely be very early payoff. So that's good news for everybody.
It totally is. You already have good relationships with the surrounding mayors and things like that. Are you still working on pulling those together?
Yeah. Several of the mayors I've met already, and actually right after the election, Peter was having some meetings with. It happened. It was time for a group meeting of all the mayors, so I sat in on that the first day after the election, actually.
Yeah.
So that's interesting to see how they all interrelate and whatnot. But there's a few of them I know pretty well, just from past contact at Arkansas Municipal League and things like that.
Well, I think we probably need to wrap up for today, but thank you for being with us today.
Thanks. It's been a pleasure to be here.
Well, and I think we're going to just start anew and have you come in and update Bella Vista monthly. So stay tuned, everybody, for that new show. It will no longer be the Mayor's Wrap. We're not sure what it's going to be, but it'll be for sure. John, thank you so much, and I'm so excited to have you as our next mayor.
Great. Well, thank you.
You bet.
It's been great talking with you.
You bet.
And looking forward to the future.
You want to say goodbye to Bella Vista, or hello to Bella Vista?
Yeah, very Very good to be here, and really excited about working for the good of Bella Vista citizens the next few years. Thank you.
See you next month.